Good morning. Last time I left you, I was hoping to pick up a bumper for Frank that I could modify, but Facebook Marketplace giveth and Facebook Marketplace taketh away. I had a line for one. I'll put a picture of it here, but unfortunately it was sold before I could get it. So today we make a bumper. I have an idea in my head of what I want a bumper to look like. It looks a lot like this picture, but I didn't buy steel for it. However, I did find a guy on Facebook Marketplace that was selling a bunch of scrap steel, so I went and bought it. Let's go take a look. Here's a pallet of scrap steel I bought off Facebook Marketplace. I've been staring at it. My mind's been spinning. I think I can make a bumper out of this. I think I have an idea, but I'm not gonna lie. I've changed my mind about how to do this about 3 times in 4 days. So the first thing I'm gonna do is figure out how to attach the bumper to Frank. And my idea is to come off of this frame rail with some 2x4 and tie it in to these existing horns. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on that. And then once I get that done, I'll pull in some of the scrap steel and we'll review my idea to make a bumper out of what we got out there. Okay, I got this 2x4 welded up, well, tack welded up in place for the bumper to attach to. So I cut a little area to weld to the existing frame, some tack welds. Basically, I will weld all of this eventually, all along here. Maybe even put a strip that goes here to tie all of this in. Right now it's just tacked up. Let me show you now what my idea is to build this bumper. These are going to be the 2 main pieces. So this is a piece of 6x6 1/4 inch, and this is a piece of, I don't even know, something 1/4 inch. It's almost 8 inches in the clear, and then it's got this bend on it, so overall it's about 8.5, which is almost exactly perfect for what I need if my measurements are right for this. So essentially the plan is to cut this piece and it will sit inside the frame rails, and it will basically be the winch plate. And then these pieces, I'll cut the back. I'm gonna cut the back out of it. So just say I cut the back out of this, and it will weld to the winch plate. And then the whole thing will slide over these 2x4s and bolt down. And then I'll probably put 1 bolt through the side this way or that way. I hope I'm explaining it decently. I'll explain more as I go through. Basically, the idea is similar to this worn bumper that I've got here on my work truck, Big Black, except for it won't be rounded like this. It'll be square and then return. Well, it'll just be angled instead of rounded. And then this front area, I don't need this huge part in the front because these horns attach a different way. So it will angle down and then come across. And so that's the plan. I'm gonna start cutting a bunch of steel and then I'll check in with you in a bit. Okay folks, I did a bunch of cutting and I've got some pieces laid out over here. So I'll show you what my vision is. This is basically it. So yeah, this is pretty much what it will look like, except for this area here. I will probably 45 something down and then square it off and back across, and then this will all get welded together here and I can bolt that way. Same with this. So basically I just need to figure out the angles and then figure out where this is gonna end and how I want this kicker to, or this return to come back here. So I still got a bunch of things to figure out, some math to math, but this is the basic idea. Got a little update for you guys. I drilled the holes for the winch. I used this fair lead mount that I had laying around. This came off a TJ bumper that I bought a while back. Some of these winches, they leave very little space behind where the fair lead mounts to even get a bolt in, so I scooted mine back a little bit. I didn't want to fight with that. I also cut these side pieces, and so now I'm going to rip this front piece. And I was hoping to get everything cut and tacked up today. At this point, it's almost 6. I think at this point I'm just going to try and get everything cut today, and I'll be happy with that. After I cut all the metal for the rear bumper, I realized I needed something better to cut metal with. The grinder and the Sawzall, they worked and they were fine for the rear bumper, but I knew there was going to be a lot more cutting for this front bumper. So I picked up this Bauer metal cutting saw from Harbor Freight, and then I got this adapter off Amazon so I could run DeWalt batteries. It's working pretty good. I'm pretty impressed. I mean, I just ripped this piece of 1/4 inch. I mean, that's pretty dang good. I did use this guide. The saw did not come with a guide, but I had one for my DeWalt saw. So, I mean, that's pretty dang straight. Good morning. Welcome to Bumper Palooza Day 2. I walked into the shop today and I saw this and I'm like, dude, that is gonna be one badass bumper. Also, I forgot to tell you guys yesterday, other stuff I got done on the Wagoneer to get it possibly ready to go to this cruise night. So let's take a look. I got side mirrors on, I got a rear view mirror in, and I got sun visors in. So I added those to the list when you guys weren't looking. Let's go back to the list for a sec, and then we can get rid of these. Rear view mirror, side mirrors, sun visors. Boom. Back to the bumper. So next step this morning, I'm gonna go ahead and get this winch box cleaned up and tacked together, then bring it over here and set it into place, and then I'll be able to figure out the angles for these return / kickers, whatever we want to call it, for this to come back. So I'm gonna get to work on that, get it set over here in Frank, and then I'll give you an update. Look how perfectly this fits in between these frame horns I built. It's almost like I made this and it worked out almost perfect. I'm gonna get the winch, get a couple bolts in the winch, make sure it's spaced out enough to clear the grill here. I'll be right back. All right, I got the winch in here. So I'm thinking I want to be about 2 inches off this corner with the bumper and then return it back. So I need to figure out what that angle is going to be. I'm going to get a piece of 2x4, cut some angles on it, mock it up, and then once I get the right angle, I can transfer that over to those 6x6s. So let me grab some 2x4, mess with those angles. Once I get that angle right, I'll get back to you. All right, I got my angle there. That's leaving me about 2 inches at that corner. Brand new, never used, fresh out of the box T-bevel here. I'll use that to find this angle and then transfer it over this metal and start cutting. All right, I got those pieces cut and now they're sitting up here. I think it looks awesome. So I'll pull everything off, get it over on the bench, get these tacked in place, put it back up here, and then I got to figure out how to do this return here. And I think I'm gonna maybe even mess with this corner here. So that's what's next. Also, check this out. These are the pieces I just cut off of here for the angle. Look at this. Right? I mean, I'm not about to fight the universe. We're putting those on. Morning, Bumper Palooza 2, day 3. I got a little off track yesterday. Didn't get as much as I wanted done, but I did get some stuff done. Let me give you an update. I did get these side pieces tacked up to the winch plate. Then I drilled holes, mounting holes, in this 2x4. I also fully welded them to the frame. Then I also cut, similar like I did to the back, an access panel because I'll need to get to the bolt here. I'm also going to drill, so I'll drill 2 holes, one there and one there in this bumper that will go in to these areas. So I need to, that access panel will help me get to those. So that's what I got done yesterday. Today, let me put the bumper on and then I'll explain to you what today's goals are. All right, I got the bumper on here, just sitting in place. So yesterday when I was calling it quits, I made another list, front bumper specific. So let's just go through the list. Front bumper, cut sides. So I need to determine where to cut the bumper here. I've got some lines and I'm gonna pick one of them. So that needs to get done. Fab up returns, that means this area here, right? I'm gonna put something here to kind of cap this area. Cap ends, so once I get those returns, I'll cap them. Mounting holes, that we talked about that earlier. These ones that I'm gonna put here and here need to be drilled in both the bumper and the 2x4 frame horns. Fill voids. This piece here, I cut out. I'm going to, you can see here, this void here, I'm gonna weld a piece in there on both sides just to clean that up. Front triangular pieces, those were the ones I told you guys yesterday I cut off of here to go right here, so those need to get tacked on here. Fully weld, obviously the whole thing needs to get welded together. It's just all tacked together. Clean primer paint. Obviously mount it on Frank. Mount the winch, wire the winch. Cut fenders. Cut fenders is probably the first thing I need to do today. So I told you guys yesterday I wanted to kind of mess with this corner here. It really drops. And I just kind of want to carry this line through here. I just took a straight edge and kind of just marked that line. So I think I'm just gonna cut that little area there. First, that needs to be done so I can determine where this bumper piece is going to come to. So we got a lot of work to do. Gonna get to it. All right, I got this side done. I like this angle better. Let me show you the other side. So you see on this one, it comes down. I kind of just wanted to carry this line. So what I did is I pie cut this. I cut here, and then I cut along this line, and then I took this lip and bent it over and then just tack welded it up. I'm gonna do that one on this side, and then we'll move on to cutting the bumper sides. All right, I got that driver side done, so cut fenders is done. Cut fenders done. So next up, I've decided to use this outside line, so I know I'm gonna go with that. And then I've marked these mounting holes here, so I will drill out those holes and cut those sides. That's next. Here we go. All right, I got these bolts drilled, or these holes drilled for the bolts. Everything's good to go there. I chopped these ends. What I'm gonna try to do is score this here and fold this back. Fold it back onto where I cut here, and then wherever it lands on this, I'll just square this over. And then I've got these left over from the rear bumper. I'll weld those on and just clean them up and then cap this end. That should work out pretty snazzy. But first, I'm gonna go get some lunch. I'll check in with you all in a bit. All right, back from lunch. I cut these corners and bent them. It worked, but this gap is pretty big to fill. Next time, I might try it and use a Sawzall blade instead of a grinder blade to cut, and then that gap might be smaller. You know what? You live and you learn. But let's go back to the list, because we got some stuff we can mark off here. Cut sides, done. Mounting holes, done. That's it. We'll get some more marked off the list before the end of the day. All right, I got this bumper side trimmed. I got this piece of 3x6 that was left over from the rear bumper clamped in place here. And I just went ahead and took a straight edge right down and just followed that fender line and made a mark. So I'm gonna cut that, and then we'll tack weld all this up and go to the other side. Cutting this angle with this new saw, oh, it's gonna be so much easier than with the grinder. I'm very happy with that saw so far. We got the other side done, so that's done. That return side's done. We can go to the list. Fab returns, done. So now we need to cap ends, fill voids, put the front triangle pieces on. So need to cut a piece for that, cut caps for the ends. I think I'm gonna put a piece here just to square this off. Those triangle pieces is what I mean for fill voids. So put a piece in there like that. Then these triangle pieces are gonna go here. So I got a lot of metal cutting to do. I'm not gonna bore you guys with that. I'm gonna hang out with my new saw for a while. I'll be back in a bit. I'm back in the shop. It's day 4 now of Bumper Palooza 2. I lost track because I ended up dinging my thumb pretty bad on a table saw. I'll save you guys the gory pics. So I had to take a few days off. I was doing some dumb stuff with the table saw. I should have known better. It could have been a lot worse. I got lucky, so thanks to the big guy above. But I'm back out here today to give you guys an update. I got all the pieces cut and tacked up from where I left off last time. Got these pieces in here for the voids, cut a piece here for the end, cap these ends, put a little plate in here. So the bumper's ready to be fully welded now. I'm gonna do my best to get this thing fully welded up today. We'll see how I feel with my thumb, and hopefully I can get it fully welded today. Good morning, it's now day 5 of me working on this front bumper. I got it fully welded up yesterday. Today, I'm gonna do some grinding, get it cleaned up, and then hopefully get it primered, painted, and put on Frank today. Also yesterday, I forgot to go back to the list and cross some stuff off, so let's do that now. Let's see here. Cap ends, done. Fill voids, done. Front triangle pieces, done. Fully weld is done. So now we just need to grind, clean and paint, and mount on Frank. This winch stuff can get done later. Also, before I put it on, I want to weigh it like we did the rear bumper. So I'm gonna get to grinding, primering, and painting. Got this bumper all grinded up and about ready for paint now. But first I want to weigh it real quick. Got it over here on my old school scale. $81 pounds. The rear bumper was 88 pounds, so pretty close. I'm gonna get it up here on the bench and start primering that bad boy. All right, got a little update. Got a coat of primer on the bumper. I also could have put a coat of primer on these frame horns. And so we can also cross a few more things off the list. We weighed it, and it is fully welded and grinded. So we're on to clean primer paint, then mount on Frank. Can't wait till it's on him. Bum, 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 bum. Are you guys ready for the big reveal? I pulled it outside into the sun. Let's check it out. What do we think? Got these big tow hooks on here. It's ready for the winch to be mounted. I like that these end caps and the rear ones match. I wasn't able to get these back two bolts in with my bum thumb, so I'll have to do that later. But I think it came out pretty good. There are a few things I would change. It's not the cleanest bumper in the world, but it's pretty dang good for Frank. So let's go back to the list and see what we might be doing for the next episode. First, we can cross off front bumper. I'll tell you what I'm not doing next episode. That's rock sliders. Between the rear bumper and the front bumper, I've had enough metal fab for a while. I'm ready to take a break on the metal fab. Rear inner fenders is a possibility. That does need to get addressed. We will definitely get the winch installed and wired up. Probably put some battery hold downs on at the same time. And then I think the big thing we do next episode is get this bad boy registered, the brakes bled, and go for a test drive. Although, that being said, the last 2 videos, I have caught myself on fire and severely cut my thumb. So the main goal in the next episode is to not get injured. Thanks for watching.